Ice is
Dying.
real or something.
He's dying. You guys can't hear my dog snoring, can you?
No.
He's got a he's got a rough life.
I can only imagine.
It's like, yup.
Alright, I think I am all set.
Cool. All right, we'll do a nice quick episode. I thought feature discussion might be kind of interesting to talk about uh, PR overload and you know daily, every other day release of trailers and stuff like that. If it spoils too much with games, and
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I don't think it's something we've talked about before.
Could we talk about Destiny with that?
I think we've beaten Destiny to death.
Because they had a lot of PR coming out with that game. And again, it was one of those things like I feel like it hurt them in the end.
Yeah, that's fine. It's relevant.
I won't go too long into it, but yeah.
All right, cool. So everyone ready to record?
Just let me sign into the document here.
Okay.
Someone tell the date.
Yeah, I'm good.
Hello, Internet.
Hello.
Hello!
I haven't watched this video. Is there anything really of relevance?
Which one?
The Dragon Age Inquisition one?
No, it just looks like a baller-ass Dragon Age game.
Alright. PC Master Race.
Fucking A.
All right, are we ready now?
Yep.
All right, let's do it. In 3, 2, 1. Hello, and welcome to another Co-Opticast. This is Co-Opticast, episode number 133. It's Monday, October the 20th, 2014. We're man down here, as Mike is recovering from his gentle surgery.
Yes. Oscar Mike on Mike.
Oscar Mike on Mike. So we'll be doing a little menage a trois tonight. And
Ooh.
yeah,
Waiting all year for this.
You guys requested it, and so it's finally here.
Yeah.
Keep leaving those voicemails where you're asking for stuff like this, and we'll make it come true. Next time, the Nothing But Beards cast.
Nothing but beards cast.
That's
all right,
you just see the beards just up close and personal.
I like it. So Jason, you kind of ran a little late because you were playing something you've been pretty much addicted to for like 2 months now. I think you've been mentioning it every podcast.
Yep.
Lord of the Rings card game, still good.
See, I was just gonna let that hang there.
Yep, I have.
Yeah, the Lord of the Rings card game. So I mean, I've been playing it with my wife, and she and I both have kind of gotten hooked on it, and we spent probably about that first month just playing through the core game and the scenarios that come with it with the pre-made decks. Towards the middle/end of last month, we started building our own custom decks, and then we started going through all the same encounters again in the core set just to kind of test them and see what needed to stay, what would work better in some scenarios versus others. And tonight was kind of like our first time really going full tilt into one of the new encounters. So they release, I think every month they release like these little 60 card or something like that expansion packs, and the expansion packs contain a new hero, new cards for player decks, and then a new encounter and cards for that encounter. And the way it kind of works is like they have deluxe expansions. So the deluxe expansions kicks off a cycle. So you have cards that more encounter cards that come with that expansion, and they have little icons on them. So as they release the monthly packs, they'll use some of those cards from the deluxe expansion, and then whatever new cards they have with the monthly pack expansions. So it's a way to kind of shuffle things up in order to make these randomly generated scenarios. It's a lot of fun to do. I mean, like, it's the one that we were doing tonight. It was sort of an escort quest kind of a thing, and we had to keep this eagle alive. and it's really tough. Like they make such a fine balance in that game of you want to progress the quest that you're on in order to clear it and move on to the next phase of the encounter, versus you have something else to juggle. So in this case, you have to keep this eagle alive, and he takes damage every single turn. But at the same time, if you go too fast, when you get to the very last stage of the encounter, you have to have these herbs to heal him, and if you don't have enough herbs to heal him, he dies. So you have to balance like how much you actually progress versus you actually have to go through the encounter cards in order to find those herbs, so you can gather them, so you can have them ready and then push hard. So there's this real interesting balance that you have to strike with stuff. So it reminds me a lot of what I'll talk about next, which is the Destiny raid, but it reminds me of some of my best co-op kind of experiences. Like, there's a lot of strategizing, there's a lot of discussion with, your teammate of what you're going to do, and, do we really quest a lot on this turn? Do we hold back so that we can just kind of lay even for a couple of rounds? So it's really a lot of fun, and yeah, I mean, I was pushing right up until it was like 5 minutes till 10 or something like that, and I was just like, yeah, we probably need to call it here, and sure enough, like, the next couple of cards that we got just wiped us. So yeah. The way it goes sometimes, but it's a lot of fun. I still highly recommend it for anyone who's a fan of card games. It's like a great mix between Sentinels of the Multiverse, if anyone's ever played that, which is another great co-op game, and Magic the Gathering, so it's tons of fun.
See, when you said escort mission, I thought you were doing something freaky with a hobbit, but so, sorry, you lost me there. Now I understand. You have to take this party to the other place, and I got it.
Yeah. Samwise special escort service.
Potatoes.
That's right.
Anyways.
Hop on Bill the Pony, and he'll take you for a ride.
Gross.
So in addition to that, the other thing that I've been doing these past couple of weeks has been the raid encounter in Destiny, the Vault of Glass. And last night actually was the first time the group that I've been doing this with, we cleared it. So that was pretty awesome. The first time that we went and did it, so the 6 of us, it was myself, Andrew, who used to be on the site, Mike, my friend Ben from college, another friend of mine, Greg from college, and Ryan Crash from Colony of Gamers. It probably took us about 2.5 hours the first time we tried it. Well, actually, that's kind of false because we had to wait for Andrew and his router that blew up. But
damn it, Andrew!
Yeah, like we put the raid on hold while he got everything together. But so it probably took us about 2 hours to get to the first boss encounter that you have in there against the Templar. The next time that we went, it probably was another 2 hours. It was probably another half hour to clear that fight, and then we spent another hour and a half on the next part of it. This time, going back through it again with a couple new folks, because not everyone could make it, but we went through that whole first section, including the first boss fight, in an hour. It's one of those things where, like, there's so much coordination between everyone, but once everyone kind of experiences it for the first time, once they see how it goes, and you get that coordination down, you're just like clearing through that stuff in no time. Opening up the vault takes like 5 minutes. It takes as much time as that thing basically is slated to go for it to do everything. Getting to the first boss fight and clearing the boss fight, same thing, just as much time as it takes for that event to play out. So it's the best part of Destiny. Without a doubt, it's the best cooperative.
Why is it? Just because, like, because it's the best co-op experience, or like?
Yeah, I mean, and it forces you to. Currently, how it's set up, and this actually changes tomorrow with a patch that they're doing that has a lot of people in uproar. But currently, with the way it's set up, it is the one activity in the game that requires people to like really strategize. So rather than just dump all your bullets into this moving target, you have to think about like where people are positioned, where they're going, what they're doing, who's strongest on your team that would be good over in this spot, versus would be good over in another spot, because like I don't want to spoil too much for folks.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
But it's sort of there's some balancing to things, and players have to take on different roles throughout the raid too. I mean, it's not like there's a healer role, but there's some different kind of movement of stuff that you have to go through. So it's the one area of the game that I feel like actually highlights the best parts of what it feels like what they're going for, mixed with the best parts of a first-person shooter. Like, it's the first time that you just kind of really get psyched about playing the game, and all I want to do now is go on raids. But it's like you can only do it once a week, so it's sort of it's I don't understand why the strikes weren't set up more like the raid. Like, if they had set up the strikes, not even like a full part of it, but just the last encounter that you have in those strikes, if they did a little bit more with them to have some of these same elements in play.
Right.
Oh, I mean, they wouldn't have to worry about selling people on going on these strike playlists. People would want to do them. They would want to do these activities because it's that much fun to do when you have a group. So it's interesting. I'm looking forward to doing it more. Definitely looking forward to doing it with you guys once you guys hit 26 and kind of going through, because it's a great experience and tons of fun.
Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to it. I took a break from Destiny while I was catching up on stuff, but I want to see what it's all about. I kind of dabbled in the end game stuff with like Xur and starting to use my strange coins and Ascendant shards and that sort of thing. So yeah, really looking forward to it.
Yeah.
Cool.
Aside from that, just a little bit of Super Smash Brothers on the 3DS, which I think Mike said last time it's a Smash Brothers game. I don't like the controls though. They use the thumb pad on the 3DS.
Oh,
that game is already a little bit floaty, and when you use the thumb pad, it just feels that much like not in control. I want to use the D-pad, but it doesn't. From what I've been able to see, you can't switch it. So the D-pad just taunts, and the thumb pad moves your character, and it's just not quite what I would like, but it's still pretty fun. They've got a lot of different modes in there, so.
Nice. Locke, what about you? What have you been playing?
Dude, that Borderlands, we played a little bit of that. I got kind of hooked on it a little bit because, like I said, I was taking a Destiny break. This is sort of I make the comparison with Borderlands to Diablo 3 because Destiny doesn't dole out the loot like Diablo does, whereas Borderlands is like, here's a gun, here's a gun, here's a gun, here's a gun. So I was like, okay, I've been playing Destiny for quite a while. Let's see how I like Borderlands. And it was kind of refreshing to get tons of stuff just being inundated with loot. And we played it. We did a bit of a stream, did a video review, and that sort of thing. I'm not super far in it, but I'm kind of back into that game. I wasn't too hot on Borderlands 2. It took me quite a while to finish it. I thought it was a bit too long, but I guess my body's ready for more Borderlands. The changes are negligible to me. Being on the moon with the less lower gravity as well as the oxygen stuff, like, it's another thing to worry about, but at the same time, it's just kind of like, meh, whatever. Vertical combat is pretty sweet. The verticality in the levels and the platforming I think it's a lot better rather than just along that horizontal plane like in the first two games. So, and I like that everyone's from Australia. I think that's fun.
Lots of Aussie speak.
Yeah, since it was made by 2K Australia, all the voice acting is Australian except for like the main characters. So any NPC you come up to, even the claptraps are Australian. So yeah, I'm really enjoying that. That's one of the games, Borderlands, where I kind of go play for an hour or so, hop off, and then I'll do it again in a couple days. I'm not like play it straight for 30 hours and do everything. So it's my popcorn game right now. So I'm really, really enjoying that. The other funny thing is I picked up Warriors Orochi 3 Ultimate on my Vita. I reviewed it back on PS3 like right when it came out, and it was a good game back then.
That game.
Yeah, I have played a lot of that game. I didn't play as much as I wanted to on the PS3 in terms of unlocking every single character and that sort of thing. Don't get me wrong, I'm not a crazy person. I don't need to do like 100% these types of games, but I like forming, like with the Warriors Orochi stuff, you get 3 dudes and you make your little team. And the Vita is the perfect platform for these games because if I need a break, turn it off. Even if I'm in the middle of a mission, it doesn't matter. And definitely check that out. There's a little trick you can do on the PlayStation Store where if you buy this certain DLC for $5, you can get the game. So,
Whoa!
Why?
Yeah,
What?
Hot tip. Stick around later. We'll tell you how.
A super secret DLC shortcut. So I was able to grab that. It doesn't like cross-buy on the PS4, but yeah, that is a wicked game on the Vita. I really love it. Looks beautiful, and control-wise, it's awesome. Like switching your characters for combos and stuff, you just tap the screen, and that's really, really slick. So, and then other than that, for me, I've been playing weird stuff too. Company Heroes, did a couple comp stomps with some friends, testing out the new. Not the new, but they've been out for a couple months now. But the
Because they're coming out with the standalone expansion again. For
yeah, there's another expansion.
Battle Barden.
Yep. So right now there's like the Americans and the second German. I think it's the Uber. The first one is the Wehrmacht, and the other one is like the Übermensch or something. But yeah, we're playing out with the new armies and checking it out. And they, again, with the Company Heroes DLC, the 2 new armies play totally different from the first 2 guys. And even with Company of Heroes 2, the Russians and the Germans played very differently. And again, these 2 additional armies play even more differently from those ones. So, and other than that, the Payday 2 updates have been happening. They call it like Overkill Days or something, but they've been just like changing tons of stuff. I was a little down on that game because I felt I was really excited after E3. Really excited when it came out. It kind of died for me because the carrot dangling in front of me was much too far, and there was too much time in between levels and loot, and that's a fine balance with a game like that. And going back to say like Diablo and Destiny and these games where you get loot, even Borderlands where you get this loot, it has to be far enough in front of you that it's not too easy to get and not too hard to get. But they've changed a ton of stuff with Payday 2. You level up much quicker, which is, I think, very important. And they've tweaked a ton of stuff. So if you haven't played Payday 2, it's worth dipping back in just to get a feel for it, because it feels the game itself doesn't feel like a different game, but everything outside of shooting dudes is totally different in terms of skills and leveling up and loot and that sort of thing. They've done a complete overhaul. So
have you checked out the Hotline Miami DLC for it?
Yeah, it's awesome. You get the animal, you get the animal masks, you get the lots of melee weapons, and the DLC mission is you just chopping up dudes, and you have to go find the one guy at the top, and you do that by just messing up guys. So,
do you get the '80s soundtrack?
There's a couple songs they added. Yeah, there's a couple. It's not like a full '80s soundtrack, but they did add some music for that one. So. Yeah, if you haven't touched Payday 2 in a while, it's worth going back because, like I said, I was down on it, but I'm back in. I'm back on, Bill the horse, so to speak.
Nice.
Call that a callback in the biz.
Yeah. So yeah, Borderlands pre-sequel. We played a bunch of that for the review along with John, and I echo what you kind of said with that. One thing you didn't mention was just how good it actually looks on PC, too, how smooth it runs. So I was pretty impressed with that. I played a whole bunch of Skylanders Trap Team with my kid and
name them all.
So, what's that?
Name them all.
Oh, jeez.
You got.
I don't even know.
J. Ross. J. Rizzle.
Yeah. It's pretty solid. I think I liked the last Skylanders game a little bit better. I think they tried to do a bit more with it.
Force?
Yeah, the Swap Force one. I thought that was a little more inventive. But this one, it's got a ton of content, and the new survival mode that they have is actually pretty inventive, and it's a good way just to kind of like stupidly smash stuff. And
awesome.
Like for people's kids who don't really want to do like the platforming stuff or aren't comfortable with it, like the survival thing's good because you just get in and basically smash the X button a lot.
Nice.
But it mixes like tower defense with a wave base kind of a thing. You got to protect this chest that has a big boss in it. If the enemies get to the chest, they break the boss out, and you have to defeat the boss to kind of clear the level. So yeah, it's pretty neat. Graphically, the game looks at this point on like the next gen hardware, it's looking like a a cartoon more or less, or a really high quality rendered movie kind of a thing.
Yeah.
So still the standout feature too of that is the characters, like the ones that I can't name all of them. I can name things like Broccoli Guy and
Wolfgang, I remember he was in there.
yeah,
I like
and
that one.
yeah, there's a bunch of cool little ones that I really like. So yeah, played a bunch of that. Destiny as well. I'm
What
still
level you
finding my
up
way
to
to.
now?
What's that?
What level you up to now, Nick?
I'm just shy of 26. I'm like 25 and 3/4 basically. I've basically just been playing Crucible stuff. I'll play like 5 or 6 matches a day.
Nice.
I should have been 26, if not 27 at this point. But when I went to buy some stuff from the Crucible handler, I misclicked and bought a piece of armor instead of
no!
Gauntlet, which was like, and it was like 140 tokens or
100
something.
marks, yeah.
And there's like no confirmation on that stuff or anything too. It's just like, yep, it's yours.
Boom! There it is.
So
Oh, man.
yeah, I was kind of bummed, but whatever. Yeah, I don't know. Like I've had just really good time with the matchmaking. The salvage matches, the 3-on-3 stuff.
Oh,
like,
salvage is prime.
Yeah, like there's been some matches where it looks like you're done, you're toast. Your team is literally down like 3/4, and then all of a sudden you regroup and you can come back, and it's like the best feeling. And I've had a couple, and just with random folks, a couple matches like that where we'd come back and take the victory. So
I've been having to do some control lately for some of these exotic bounties. I still just I'm not a fan of PvP as a whole, but there have been some really fun times.
Control is chaos, man. It's like everyone to the point, throw everything you can. Whereas like
I kind of like that though. There's a couple of maps that like I know really well now, and I mean at this point the only thing I'm trying to do is just grind out stuff for these exotic bounties. So for that much, I've kind of found some really fun things to do. But yeah, I don't know. I did play a couple of the artifact or whatever those are. Salvage, I think early on, and that's really good with a 3-team that you're communicating with. That was a lot of fun.
I really dig the 3v3 just because I find it less chaotic, and I think you need to rely on teamwork instead of brute force. So I'm really digging stuff like salvage, and any time like there's a special 3v3 matchup on the playlist left hand side there, I hop into that just because I'm not super good at the control and deathmatch sort of thing, just because I'll be like, okay, I'm going to sneak up or go here and just get like shot in the side of the head. Typical like old dude playing PvP stuff. Damn kids, get out of my games!
Yeah, we were having actually a discussion at work today about that, about how we're all old trying to play these video games and we just suck anymore at the competitive stuff.
You just don't have the Twitch response anymore.
No, it's definitely not there like it used to be. But I don't know, I still like it. I guess I've always been a fan of Halo's multiplayer stuff, so I guess shouldn't be surprised that Destiny stuff is hooking me as well. So the final thing I've been playing is Sunset Overdrive.
Ooh, yeah.
It's still under NDA for that, but we will be streaming Thursday night at 9 p.m. Eastern. We'll be streaming the co-op of that with the devs, so you can check our Twitch channel out for that. I might stream some of the single player at some point this week. I'll have to check exactly how far in you're allowed to see, but pretty solid so far. Like I said, can't say too much, but
You're feeling it?
Yeah, it's definitely got that Crackdown mixed with Jet Set Radio mixed with it's got a lot of influences in there. And I was telling you before the show block. It breaks the fourth wall a lot. It talks directly to you a ton and kind of makes
And
fun of itself too,
yeah,
and video games in general. So I'm
that's
digging it.
good. I know that point is gonna rub some people the wrong way, but I think it's funny when games not go out of their way, but do that elegantly, and they're just like, yeah, we're a video game, deal with it. So
Yeah, like the tutorial in the beginning and stuff. The character in the game is like, "What's this disembodied voice talking to me?"
yeah,
Oh, how convenient that there's text on the screen telling you what to do.
yeah,
It's like I'm trying to think what was the other thing I said. It's like if you fail something during the tutorial, it's like you're the reason why we had to make a tutorial. So
That's
yeah,
awesome.
it does some pretty good stuff like that. So.
awesome.
Let's jump into some quick news discussion here. And we were talking about Destiny and its raid. And one of the things that Jason did mention was, you got to find a group. I think we probably talked about this before on the podcast, but you have to have a group of 6 folks that you know or are readily accessible for this. But Bungie is contemplating adding matchmaking to this, like they do for the strikes, so you can enjoy it if maybe you can't find 6 folks. I guess there's quite a few sites out there that do just have looking for raid group kind of stuff. So really, you shouldn't have a problem getting a group together. But maybe it's late at night, you're a few beers in, and you're like, let's go raiding.
I'm ready to make some bad choices.
I'm ready to make some poor choices.
Yeah.
Bill the pony, come over here.
But yeah, so it's not definite yet, but it sounds like they're strongly considering it. You mentioned, Jason, that the upcoming patch is changing some things with the raid.
Yeah. Without spoiling too much, like for the last boss encounter, there's a certain group that gets teleported somewhere while another group stays,
Right.
and they're changing how that works, which I agree with a lot of people saying that it's not a bug, it's how raids work. If you play any other sort of MMO, like that sort of element to the raid is where you strategize, and when it becomes random, it just feels like you're making it random for random's sake. Like, man, people are having too easy of a time with our stuff. Let's just make it harder for no good reason. It's kind of like, no, people get to that point naturally. Like, they figure it out. They get to that point naturally because that's just how raiding goes. So
Yeah, people min-max raids. It's like
yeah.
that's how you can write a bot script to do a raid. It's like, here's the exact timing of everything. Like, it's okay. It can still be challenging, but
Yeah, I mean, people used to do that. I mean, for a while, they'd have scripts, the little plugins, basically, where it's just like everybody move here, and it'd like toss up a big, and Blizzard just let it go rampant, pretty much. I mean, they started being a little bit more control later on, but they just let that happen because that's just a natural part of how that stuff goes down when you got a group of people together and trying to coordinate a bunch of different things. So, yeah. I think it's interesting that they're doing it. I'm curious to see what else happens with that, because Bungie's response to things has been very mixed in a lot of different ways. So we'll see if that sticks around.
I'm kind of curious to see where the content goes for the next month, because December is the first big piece of DLC for the game, so they kind of got to get everybody there. So I'm wondering if we'll see another raid before then, or some other significant content changes, because it feels like it's gone a little bit stagnant now. Maybe for about 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Like they were making a pretty big effort there for for a month or so to get stuff with like the Queen's Wrath stuff, the raid. They had some focus on
Iron Banner
with the Iron Banner stuff.
Yeah.
But now it's kind of a little silent. They had over the weekend they had the Zur stuff going on, which is just a way to spend some stuff in the game, but nothing in terms of playable content that was new or different or.
Yeah.
I want to see some like speeder bike races or something. Something like silly that they could do just to.
Dude, I'm right with you on that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. Let's talk about Dragon Age Inquisition, which is probably the next game I'm really looking forward to this fall. One of the big ones, and It sounds like they're getting back to the roots of the first Dragon Age game. Jason, why don't you tell us a bit about the video they kind of put out for that and they're
PC
doing?
Master Race, son. That's what it boils down to. I mean, it's I don't know. This will tie into our future discussion, but I think it's interesting. This particular video is basically them saying, "Hey, we started Dragon Age on the PC, so that's what we started off. I mean, like Dragon Age Inquisition, we're going back to our roots and building it from the PC first." Some of that, though, I mean, what they talk about later on is that there were limitations with the console and the engine that they were using there. So there was things that, like, oh, you can't have things with 4 legs in a game which features things with 4 legs. So, I mean, it makes sense for why they kind of focus on the PC and everything. But it's, I don't know. I think it's an interesting little market tool to kind of bring that PC audience back over to their side of things and appeal to that demographic.
Yeah, I'm anxious to the co-op, and it looks like it can be a lot of fun, even though that's not really going to be the kind of top-down traditional D&D stuff. But I know Locke is itching to see if it's like Mass Effect 3's co-op stuff.
If I can, yeah. I mean, it's freaking Dragon Age. I haven't even finished the second one, but if that third one plays like Mass Effect 3, it's I'm in.
Yeah. So pushed out of this fall was Evolve. It looked like that was actually going to be like the co-op game next to Destiny. But they pushed it out, moved it to February. Instead, they had a closed alpha. I think it was beginning of September, maybe. It was right before Destiny launched. And now there's another closed alpha coming, or beta. What do they call it? No, they're calling it an alpha in a couple weeks.
Yes.
So, Locke, why don't you tell us about that as well as what, they got a new trailer with some monsters and
Yeah.
possibly DLC coming?
Yeah. The new monster is called the Goliath, and they were showing off the Kraken at E3, which was a flying Cthulhu-esque feeling thing. The Goliath is more of a gorilla, ground pound, get in your face monster, that sort of thing. Just the other note is that if you didn't know this is a pro tip for everyone out there. You can actually get the 3D model files of each of these monsters in case you had a 3D printer that you wanted to make figurines out of. I don't know.
Nice.
I think that's pretty darn cool, especially when they have these like amazing monsters they're creating. But yeah, the Goliath is amazing. He's got a leap smash, fire breath. He can toss rocks, charge. It's like Donkey Kong and Bowser had a love child, and then you have to fight it. So, but yeah, and then if you pre-order, you'll get a spot in the upcoming beta that starts in 10 days on the 30th. And yeah, the last day to you have to do that actually today.
Is it today, the 22nd?
Yeah, I think so.
20th.
No, 21st. So yesterday, you have to do that. So out of luck, suckers. But yeah, Evolve looking so slick. They're gonna announce a couple more monsters. They're planned for 4 so far, but obviously the platform of Evolve is to be able to just add things to it. So.
Yeah, I guess the news out of that too was that there'll be 3 at launch. The 4th will be free post-launch. So kind of interesting way to keep that game fresh and stuff moving forward.
Yes.
Yeah, so that's it for kind of news. It's been kind of slow, like a bit news-wise. What we have got though, a lot of, is coverage of or info overload of a few games. Like I bring up Far Cry 4, Assassin's Creed Unity, Call of Duty. Jason, you mentioned earlier about Destiny. Basically, it seems like PR is just loading people up with content. With the advent of streaming stuff and how popular that's gotten, there's pretty much weekly streams from these folks. There's videos. It seems almost like every other day. Pre-order bonus this, beta that, and you think it's too much? Do you think that the mystery of when that game comes out is kind of lost, and there's almost nothing? Feels like there's nothing left to discover. Anybody?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So great discussion.
Yes.
And that's the show. We'll see
Yeah.
you guys.
No, I mean there's so back in the day, is you think of like Nintendo Power, which was basically Nintendo's magazine to prop up their own stuff. Even with that, you got just enough of a glimpse of an upcoming game with like a one-page advert and just like 3 tiny screenshots that you got excited for it. Like you didn't know anything else about the game coming out. You didn't have this dearth of information available to you through the internet. That's gone. Like I kind of missed that part of it, and especially now working on this side of things, where you see all these press releases and everything else come up, and you're just like, I mean, who really cares? I mean, you're right. It's just sort of like there's another, here's the thing of like we've made a change to our pre-order collector's edition. Now you get this, or there's 5 different collector's editions out. Choose one. It's just like it's still a game. Like, tell us something really interesting about the game or something cool that you're doing with it. Like, I really like the dev blogs that a lot of people are doing. I think those are really cool things to talk about. But the constant flow of just, our game's coming out in 2 weeks, our game's coming out in 1 week, our game's coming out in 5 days, our game's coming out in 3 days, have you pre-ordered our game yet? It's just way too much. Way too much. But at the same time, I also understand it's gotten to the point where we've created that. Like, gaming money can only go so many places, and games themselves have gotten to such a high amount of development costs that you pretty much have to be the loudest voice in the room to get noticed at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I personally, I drown it out. Like, I know there's Assassin's Creed coming out soon-ish. Far Cry 4, something about elephants. Call of Duty has spacemen in it. Again, I've gotten to the point where there's so much info, so much like all the time that it's just noise. It's just noise. And really, what you have to do, especially I'm coming from sort of the content creation side of things, is make something different. Like do something special. And the last time that I saw this, and it wasn't even with a AAA game. It was with Battle Block Theater. They had that like Steam release trailer that was on point, really funny, and it wasn't like we're releasing on Steam. Like that's not a huge announcement, like in the big grand scheme of things. Like this game that got ported to Steam is now being released. Where when you think of stuff like, again, all of these are sequels with all the big names of Far Cry 4, Unity, Call of Duty. Again, Nick, you showed what was that last trailer you showed with was it the customization of the Assassin's Creed stuff? I mean, that was kind of neat, but I think it's weird where the marketing ball just gets rolling so fast and it gets so big that you can't stop it, and these companies aren't willing to take chances, so they don't want to do something funny or risky or anything like that. It's just like boom. So the result of this is, and everything sort of, it doesn't trip over itself. It just like smashes.
It blends together.
Yeah, it does blend together. Like I couldn't tell you, like I said, when I started talking, like I couldn't tell you when any of these games come out. I know they're coming out sometime in the next couple months, but I mean, you shoot dudes and you shank dudes, and I mean, if they did something different, then I would pay attention. But I mean, again, I'm in such a small percentage where people that push the market and that are picking these games up, they are the people that this is catered towards. It's the 90% who are just pushing, the Call of Duty sales, right? Like I don't give a shit about Call of Duty, man. Like, so that's I always look for different things, but again, that goes to the sort of risk management thing, which we don't see anymore. That being said, I'm very curious because Sunset Overdrive is actually taking those risks. They are doing trailers and stuff that are very different. The Sunset Overdrive trailer where they they're shooting it like a film, and they had
Oh,
this.
that was really good.
Yeah, they shot it like a film, and they had a behind the scenes thing, and I just that's the kind of marketing that
Yeah, it was
I
pretty
like looking
funny.
at. So I mean,
Yeah.
but again, me, cranky old hipster gamer here.
I think maybe a little bit of inside baseball here with how we do the site, and I think it's a little bit different for us in how we present it because we have such a limited bandwidth. So we tend. I was just looking at like a few of these things. We're posting basically an Assassin's Creed Unity trailer or info tidbit about once a week or twice a week. That goes back about 3 months. Same thing for Far Cry 4. I know I'm picking on Ubisoft here, but really you can any of the EA stuff, Dragon Age as well.
Yep.
Because we try and focus only on the co-op aspect of it, so it spaces it out a little bit. But if we were an IGN or a Polygon, we would probably have one post every other day about these games, and maybe that's the goal for PR. But for us, what tends to happen is we group it up then. So by the time that week goes by and someone gets a chance to write up the story, there's 2 or 3 trailers to put into something and make a meaningful, or at least a more meaningful, piece of info on it. And maybe that's something PR can kind of analyze and look at and say, well, maybe this thing standing on its own really isn't worth making a big deal about. But if we wrap it together with this, and this, now it's a little more meaningful. Or, maybe you turn it into something where you say every Friday we're going to release a new something, right? And you kind of build the expectation and the want for it that way instead of just throwing it out there all the time. It's like a pizza buffet of gaming content, and it all gets watered down.
Totally.
I miss the late 80s, early 90s TV commercials. It had absolutely nothing to do with the game. It was just like a bunch of quick zoom shots of a person's face and explosions going off in the background.
Or
and they're just play the new version of Tetris. And you're just nothing to do at all with what's going on.
Or that Zelda commercial where he's like, oh yeah, and he comes over to his buddy's house. He's like, holy.
Dude, one of the best commercials still of all time was for the Japanese release of Link to the Past. They had a freaking... You haven't seen this? They had a freaking line dance. They had a Legend of Zelda dance, a song, the whole bit. It is... I'm going to find it and send it to you. But that's one of the best commercials I've ever seen. It sells your product in such a... I mean, people would say, oh, it can only happen in Japan. I mean, come on. You put that advertisement up here, that shit goes viral now. I mean, people... That's what they...
Yeah.
That's that kind of creativity. That's that kind of thing. If you have something that stands out and it's a little bit wacky, everybody talks about it. Everybody was talking about Destiny because of that wizard came from the moon.
Yeah.
I mean, that sold more PR on that game than anything else, I bet. I mean, people were talking about it for months, and they still talk about it.
Yeah.
But
I'd be curious. So anybody listening, send us a voicemail and or an email at tips@cooptimus.com and tell us what you think. You guys are consuming this stuff daily and weekly and stuff. And do you think it's too much? Do you want more? Do you want less? Is it too noisy?
I'd be curious. I should go check what our posting has been like for Civilization Beyond Earth. Have we done anything for that?
Something
Did we
like
cover that much?
Well, no, because here's the thing. So something like that, I'll get. We get maybe a trailer every. I'll say that's about a week. Every week that we get a tip to that. I would say maybe 6 weeks ago when we got something, I was like, you know what? We've covered the other civilizations. What's the multiplayer like in this? What are our options and stuff? So I sent him an email and I asked. No response. But 2 more emails come through. I sent another email. Same thing. Game's out actually this week. I totally forgot about it.
Yeah.
It got lost in the noise of everything else. But
that
it's
it's weird because they put out that it was 15 minutes long, whereas here's what's new about this game. This is why it's like Alpha Centauri. And then I watched every single second of that, which is like, that doesn't make sense. Like, why would I watch a 50-minute thing about a game that like I know everything about? But yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's just my tastes, and I don't know. If I cared what new sick gun mods were in Call of Duty, maybe I'd pay attention to those trailers. Whereas I actually care about the different races in Civilization Alpha Centauri Edition. So
yeah, that's out this Friday. You just reminded me again. I need to.
It's like right off this next weekend. Like it's
Yeah.
gone.
Yeah. And actually, we just got an email about it today, and I debated responding because it mentioned something about, here's assets to go with your reviews when the embargo lists. I'm like, we didn't get a review copy, first of all, and you didn't even answer my question about it, so come on. But yes, Civ 5 is free on Steam right now, kind of promoting it, which is smart. So if you haven't played that, shame on you.
It is the best hex-based Civ game.
I think that's amongst my other Steam library games of games I've owned and installed, and one of these days I'll click play.
One of those.
It's a fun game. It's actually pretty fun multiplayer as well, you guys. So.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. All right. So let's wrap that up. Like I said, if we'd like to hear your comments on that too, so we could talk about it maybe next episode. No voicemails this week. Show and tell time.
Leave a voicemail, 646-926-6748.
Thanks. I didn't get there yet, but sure.
I figured we're talking about it.
Let's do show and tell time. Jason, you got anything to show us?
Well, we talked about it. We talked about all the Assassin's Creed stuff. So it's my ever-growing collection of figurines from the Assassin's Creed.
Does that stand on its own?
Yeah. It's got like a whole little base and everything.
What's that guy? What's that character's name?
This was
Swashbuckling Jim.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I thought.
What was it? Something or other? Conway or Conrad or something.
Nice.
But I have the 3-1 up there as well, and I've been told by a little bird maybe there's another one coming on its way.
Never mind. This is not for this show. There's some other Assassin's Creed that just kind of popped up. Is it called? Not Revelations, but like
Rebel.
Rebel. Like what the frick? Where did that come from? Like what is that?
Yeah.
Is it a new game?
Yeah.
I have no idea. They do it. It's like so often now. That's a discussion in itself. Is it time to kill the time to kill the yearly release of franchises?
Please.
Yeah.
God, you're
Edward Kenway. That's his name. Sorry.
Draining yourselves. No reason.
That's my show and tell.
Anything fun for show and tell? Sorry, guys.
That's all right. So follow us on Twitter. We are Co-Optimus without the dash. Leave us feedback on iTunes. And, that's about it. Short and sweet tonight. Hopefully Mike will be back next week. I think he had mentioned that we wanted to possibly stream some Raiden action next week, so I'll be down for that.
I will be your guide.
Yes, please.
And,
to the Vault of Glass.
Sounds good.
I'ma smash it.
Let's tap that glass.
This is Co-Opticast episode 133. Bill the Pony was our special guest. We thank him for his time. It's Monday, October 20th, 2014. Have a good one.
Potatoes.